official proceedings. Now, Mim, am I code to start or you need to? Great. We're live streaming, everyone, so lighting is very important. Good morning. Special mention to the Honourable Malcolm Turnbull, Minister for Communications, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the launch of Online Inclusion, or otherwise known as OI, an online disability forum, disability platform forum, initiated by LifeStart and seed funded by the Trust Company, part of Perpetual. My name is Paul Nanari, and as an ambassador of LifeStart, I would like to thank you all for attending and joining us for LifeStart on this exciting day as they launch the OI project. We also welcome our online audience as we live stream the launch of OI and LifeStart social media, with partners joining us from all over Australia and as far as Ohio, the USA. Before we begin this morning's proceedings, I would like to welcome Uncle Ray Davison for our Welcome to Country. Welcome, Ray.
Thank you. I'd just like to say before I actually do the welcome that I feel really privileged and honoured to be here this morning. I have a long association with the Opera House, not being actually part of it, but as a young person in my youth working on the actual building as an 18-year-old scapular. So, and within my family, I have two elders that normally do the Welcome to Country, so I don't get to do too many Welcome to Countries. It's just when they can't make them. So once again, to actually be in such an iconic building as the Opera House, I think three most iconic places in Australia: the Opera House, the Harbour Bridge, and Uluru, and we have two of them in Sydney here. And I think that that's because of my people, the Gadigal people. I'm very proud of that. I'd like to say that the Welcome to Country has its origins on the east coast of Australia, and Welcome to Country's origins are with matchy sticks. Now, when we had important ceremonies or large corroborees, matchy stick was used to welcome those people or accept people into the area that we're travelling from. Within Australia here, Sydney area, we have 29 tribes of the Eora Nation, and my clan are just one that make up those 29 tribes. Now, I'm here this morning on behalf of the Metropolitan Local Lands Council to welcome you all to this wonderful occasion and LifeStart. And being someone that works in health, I fully appreciate and understand the great work that these organisations do. So once again, it's a real privilege for me to be here. I'd like to say, offer my appreciation to the organisers for the invitation here this morning. I'd like to pay respects now to elders past and present, and welcome all my Indigenous brothers and sisters here today and my non-Indigenous brothers and sisters. As I said a moment ago, the Eora Nation are made up of 29 tribes in the clan land, and our boundaries start from the Hawkesbury River out to the Nepean River, down to the Georges River and the beautiful coastline of Sydney area here. Within that area are the Eora Nation. So once again, welcome to Eora land, and most importantly on my behalf, and I feel really privileged because it's the first time, once again, because I have elders who do the Welcome to Country. It's my first time that I've actually come to the Opera House to give welcome, and it's very moving for me, especially knowing that this is my actual tribal area, and I'm in my mind's eye I can see the little bark canoes out here and the wisp of smoke in the background, you know. So once again, it's really, really moving for me. So once again, on behalf of the Metropolitan Local Lands Council, welcome today, and may the spirits of my ancestors walk beside you and protect you while you were on Gadigal land, as I know they walk beside me. And I must apologise now, because I've got to leave directly after this speech. medical problem, so I've got an appointment with my specialist, and you can't keep them waiting. So I apologise for walking straight out, but once again, I'm really pleased on behalf of the Metropolitan Local Lands Council to be able to give this welcome here this morning for such a really, really wonderful occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle Ray. That was a beautiful welcome. OI has been built as a platform to bring inclusion, disability, collaboration, and connection into one easy hub. It will offer information, resources, online services, and links to activities to people living with disability, providing information from where to get help, travel ideas, communication resources, finding information about therapies, such as music therapy. And in that regard, I would like us all to welcome one of the partners who are a music therapy group known as Nordoff Robbins with the Fergie and Friends Choir, who will now perform I Dreamed a Dream from Les Miserables. Please welcome them.
I dreamed a dream in times gone by, when hopes were high and life worth living. I dreamed that love would never die. I dreamed that God would be forgiving. Then I was young and unafraid, and dreams were made and used and wasted. There was no ransom to be paid, no song unsung, no wine untasted. But the tigers come at night, with their voices soft as thunder, and they tear your hopes apart, and they turn your dream to shame. He slept a summer by my side. He filled my days with endless wonder. But there are dreams that cannot be, and he was found when autumn came. And still I dream he'd come to me, and we would live our lives together. But there are dreams that cannot be, and there are storms we cannot weather. I had a dream my life would be so different from this hell I'm living, so different now from what it seems. Now life has killed the dream I dreamed.
Thank you to the Nordoff Robbins Choir. That was beautiful. LifeStart are truly honoured to have the Federal Minister for Communications, the Honourable Malcolm Turnbull, join us today. To welcome Minister Turnbull, I would like to introduce the Chairman of LifeStart, Mr. Bruce Corlett. Welcome, Bruce.
Thanks, Paul. How wonderful was that? Thank you so much. I must say, I've got tears in my eyes. It's one of my favourite songs, as my wife knows, and I thought it was sung beautifully, so very well done. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this launch of OI, Online Inclusion, which we've branded OI. Everyone here this morning is special, but we have a number of distinguished guests whom I'd like to particularly acknowledge. Clearly, the Minister, the Honourable Malcolm Turnbull MP, Minister for Communications and Broadband, I think it is, Malcolm, isn't it? Just Communications. The Honourable Matt Thistlethwaite, MP, Shadow Parliamentary Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Immigration. Matt is a long-time supporter of ours in many, many ways, both athletically and in other ways within our community, and we really deeply appreciate your ongoing support, Matt. The Chairman of Perpetual, Mr. Peter Scott, John Walsh, Member of the Board of the National Disability Insurance Agency, formerly Productivity Commissioner and one of the architects of the NDIS. Prior to that, John was a partner of PwC, recently retired. Another truly inspirational Australian. John Longley, Chief Executive at Ageing, Disability and Home Care, Department of Family and Community Services. Brian Smythe-King, Executive Director, Learning and Engagement, New South Wales Department of Education and Communities. Patrick Marr, Chief Operating Officer, National Disability Services. Mr. Peter Langkamp, Chairman of Uralla, representing Bruce Bonahady, Chairman of the Board of NDIS. What an amazing job Bruce has done this last several years. And to our OI ambassadors, there are 4 here today, and they're well worth going and chatting to. They're all up the back there. Very special people in the lives of our organisation at LifeStart. As Paul mentioned, OI was the initiative of LifeStart and was seed funded by the Trust Company, which is now part of Perpetual. All of us at LifeStart truly appreciate the vision and courage that the Trust Company and now Perpetual had in supporting us and funding this program. Without it, we wouldn't be here today, and their ongoing support is truly valued. So to Peter Scott, who will shortly speak, thank you, Peter, to you and your team. Many of your philanthropy members are here today and some are listening in Melbourne. So thank you to all of you, and I should make particular mention also of Simon Lewis, who pioneered that program through the Trust Company for many years. LifeStart provides early childhood intervention and school-age services for children living with disability or developmental delay, their families and their carers. We are committed to providing services based on the values of empowerment, partnership and inclusion, delivered in a culture of excellence, diversity and respect for the individual. We currently provide support services to over 1,000 families and children in and around Sydney. This has probably doubled, hasn't it, Sue, in the last few years? And given the demand for our services, our focus as a board and our objective as a board is to grow our ability to service the families that need our support. This can only be done and has only been achieved because of our extraordinarily dedicated and skilled staff. I'm inspired by them. I spend a lot of time with them. I never fail to be inspired by their commitment to these kids. They're led by an extraordinary person, Sue Becker. Sue is LifeStart's CEO. She's been in that role for plus 3 years, Sue. 4.5, there you are. I've chaired many, many organisations in my life. I've never had a chief executive quite like Sue. She even tells me how to dress. I got a text last night at bedtime saying I had to wear a purple tie. So between last night and this morning, I found myself a purple tie. So you've heard about, I was going to tell you about OI. Sue is about to tell you about OI extensively. Paul's given you a little insight. Our material behind and hard copy handed out will tell you about it, so I won't repeat it. Other than we at LifeStart are extremely proud of what we've created. It's early days, as the Minister pointed out when he arrived, but it's a very, very important program for everyone in the disability sector. It provides opportunities for those, especially who are housebound and in other parts of Australia, to gain information about where to go, what to do and how to get there within the disability sector. Many are lost when disability becomes part of their family life, and being able to online access high quality authorised information is going to be a treasure for all members of that community. The OI program that we see today has taken several years to get to this point, and it's a result of the efforts of a lot of people within LifeStart, and I'll mention just a few. Sue clearly is our CEO because she's across everything. Alison Turner, Jackie Hart, Jenny Kemp, Lily Wicks, Tori Berg, Alison O'Toole, Bruce Walker, to name a few. Today we're honoured to have Malcolm Turnbull, Minister for Communications, officially launch OI. Malcolm is obviously extremely well known to everyone in Australia, and Malcolm, we feel deeply privileged to have you here. By any measure, Malcolm is a distinguished Australian. He has achieved so much across such a variety of sectors. Distinguished academic record, Rhodes Scholar, combining a rugby career at Sydney University in the front row, the entrepreneur, successful businessman, especially in the technology sector, and of course over recent years in Canberra as a federal parliamentarian. Malcolm is a relatively young man, so I'm sure that there are many more successes to come. I've known Malcolm for many, many years, and I've always admired his deep engagement with community. And it's that engagement, together with his mastery of the technology space, that makes him the ideal person to officially launch OI. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Honourable Minister, Malcolm Turnbull MP.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce. Now, the most important thing I've got to do is not obscure the URL, oi.org.au. So we want everyone that's watching this to explore that site and tell their friends. It's wonderful to be here, Bruce and Sue, also with my parliamentary colleague, Matt Thistlethwaite, who's the Shadow Parliamentary Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Immigration. And there's often, it's not uncommon to have government and opposition represented at events, but this is particularly valuable because it just reminds us that there is a bipartisan commitment to the NDIS. It is a great initiative, and I think we should, acknowledge again John Walsh's presence here, one of the architects of the NDIS. I was talking to John earlier, and it is terrific that it has got the support of the whole community and the whole political community in these times when, of course, politics, as always, politics is never as bipartisan as the public would like it to be, but nonetheless, you need clear differences because you need choices. But on the NDIS, we are at one, or as Matt would say, on a unity ticket. Now, the technology and the internet has transformed our world, and it has, in many respects, transformed us. The idea that most people in the developed world, and shortly most people in the world, will have, in one form or another, access to the internet 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, often in the form of a smartphone, is extraordinary. You know, when you think of the transformation of accessibility and inclusion that comes about through technology, this is the most revolutionary piece of infrastructure mankind has ever devised. It's completely transformative. And by the way, it's not new. I was trying to encourage somebody to move their activities into the online space the other day, and this gentleman said to me, he said, people are always trying to push us into using new technology. I said, get with it, it's not new. The internet is not new. There's a whole generation of people out there under 40 who can barely remember when it wasn't around. The internet has been with us for a long time. We have almost unlimited amounts of technology. There's no shortage of technology. What we are short of, very often, not too often, but very often, is technological imagination, working out how to use these technologies to achieve great outcomes. I was talking to Anne-Marie Elias from FACTS in New South Wales earlier about the terrific achievements of the GovHack programs that we support, we at the Commonwealth level, and I know the state does too, support, which is where you bring developers, I was going to say young developers, they have to be young at heart, they don't have to be young chronologically, to come together, get access to a lot of government information, might be mapping information or information about disability services, geospatial information and all sorts of things, and then try to mash that together and come up with some useful applications. That's the critical thing. Now, OI is a great example of imagination. It's a great example of an imaginative approach to dealing with a big challenge. As Bruce said, people with disabilities, people with children with disabilities are presented with an impenetrable maze of services and with all different forms of conditions and so forth. How do they navigate their way through that? How do they do it? Go onto the internet, Professor Google can be your guide perhaps, but the internet is a vast resource, open to all, and it's full of a lot of information, good, not so good, and sometimes actually quite misleading. So the importance of a carefully curated site like this, a curated portal, if you like oi.org.au, is so important because it means that people know that they go through that, they know that the information they find there is right, it's reliable, the agencies that they're being directed to which there are links and references, are the right ones, and that won't stop them exploring further afield and finding all sorts of other things, but it's a wonderful initiative to provide that sort of centre curated service. Now, I mentioned the NDIS and our commitment to that. Let me just mention one other point about the government's approach to these issues. You've read a lot and heard a lot about the National Broadband Network. Let me be very clear about this. We are committed to completing the National Broadband Network. I have to be honest with you and say we would not have gone about it the way the Labor Party had and did in terms of establishing it as a government business. But nonetheless, we are where we are, and we will complete the project as quickly, as cost-effectively as we can. And above all, we'll do so in a way that will make it affordable. I don't need to remind this audience that the biggest barrier to internet access is not technology. That is a barrier in some cases, but less so all the time. The biggest barrier is lack of income. People earning $40,000 a year or less, households earning $40,000 a year or less, are 10 times less likely to have access to the internet than people in the top 20% of household incomes. So affordability is the key. So when I talk about, as you hear me tediously going on and on about the need to complete the project cost effectively and using a mix of technologies to make sure we get the right outcome as soon and as cheaply as possible, what I'm really talking about is accessibility and inclusiveness, because unless it is affordable, the people that have, in many respects, the most to gain from it will not be able to use it. So I want to thank you very much for inviting me here today. I commend oi.org.au to you. I'll say that again, oi.org.au. Tweet it, Facebook it, tell your friends. I look forward to the evolution of the site. I know it's going to be a wonderfully dynamic resource. And I think now Sue is going to tell us some more. No? No? I'm going to press. Oh, there is a button. A button. Now, can I just say, before you do this, I just want to warn you. I know it's not Sunday, we're in a secular building, but I want to tell you about something called the demo god. Anyone who's been involved in technology knows that there is a very evil deity called the demo god. And that what the demo god does, he invariably makes sure that live demonstrations fail. So just use all of your mental power to keep the demo god away from interfering with us, and I will try to launch this right now. I'm not sure the demo god is lurking. Oh, no, there it is. Terrific. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. To thank the Minister for attending, I would like to introduce the Chairman of Perpetual and Trust Company, now part of Perpetual, the funding body that has supported OI through its philanthropic model of change, Mr. Peter Scott. Welcome, Peter Scott.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning, Minister. Thank you very much indeed for your time. It's great to see we have a person that can communicate with human beings as well as being a champion for technology. So we really welcome you and thank you for your participation here today. I have a very small gift here, which is a very aged technology. It's something that has been painted by one of the children who has been touched by LifeStart. So I'd like you to come and take that.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you. I want to get another picture. Did you got that? Right, okay, good.
If I can have a couple of minutes, I think it's important to understand where the genesis of the funds that have been allocated to support this great initiative have come from. It came from the trust of a gentleman called Fred P. Archer, who was born in the 1800s. He had a very tough life. He went to school in Melbourne, spent many, many years of his life in New Guinea, was a successful businessman at the end of a whole series of hard knocks, and just before he died, before he was 87, he created a trust, which is the source of the funds that now have been administered over the years by permanent trustees, trust company, and now Perpetual. But the essence of the initiative is the same. He wanted to give money to support children and in their educational endeavours. So that's something that has lasted since he started that in 1997. But he was born in 1890. So the ideas and the philosophies that drive many of the people here are, I think, enduring, which is great to see. So on behalf of Perpetual, it's a great honour and a privilege to continue to support this great initiative started by the Trust Company, and we will continue to do so. Thank you very much, Minister, once again for the effort this morning.
Thank you, Peter, Minister and Bruce. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CEO of LifeStart, Sue Becker, who will share more about this exciting OI program.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Minister. It worked. Your launch. I was very worried too, don't worry. I think a few other people in the room were a bit concerned as well, weren't they? But it's great to see that it worked. Thank you, Bruce, for your welcoming of Minister Turnbull, and thank you, Peter, for your words about Fred Piarch. I'll cross that off my list. Thank you. It's lovely to see so many people here today. This has been a long journey. We started it with a very small pilot in late 2010, where we ran an online therapy service for 17 children and their families. It was different, it was innovative, and we thought we'll give it a go. So what we did was we had a trained therapist who set up online discussion and support with a group of families. Now, we started off with 17, and 15 of those families lasted till the end. The 2 that dropped out had to leave LifeStart for a number of reasons. They'd moved on, and LifeStart and early intervention was no longer figuring in their lives. So we knew it was successful. How could we grow it? We tried a few things. We thought, we don't know whether we're going to get money from government for this. It's very innovative, but it's lovely to see government officers in the room today, and they have been supportive of our concepts. So what we did was we made an application to the Trust Company. We received a small amount of money, and at that stage we were going to be little. We were just going to run an online support project for little kids and their families. We had thought about those families that are isolated for a whole range of reasons. It could be geographic isolation. It could be isolated in their own home. It could be cultural isolation because they were not able to go out and join with other groups. Economic isolation. Minister Turnbull talked about the cost of the internet and how hard it is for people to access services. For many people living with disability and their families and carers, it's really tough to access services. And so we thought that this may be a way around that. And we had visions of being able to access services in libraries and a whole lot of community mainstream services where people could actually get in and find out what services could be offered. Minister, you talked about the difficulty of navigating the service system. The disability service system and the mainstream service system are difficult to navigate. For many people in our community, they're difficult to navigate. And for people living with disability, it's often that extra bit harder. So we looked at an engaged philanthropy model. The Trust Company came back and... I'm just going to drop that a little bit. The Trust Company came back and said, yeah, we like your pilot. It's a great idea. Simon Lewis, who was the head of the Engaged Philanthropy program at that time, thought it was wonderful. He was very supportive, as was our chairman, Bruce Corlett, who previously had been, up until late last year, the chairman of the Trust Company as well. But he did put us through the ringer. We had to prove and demonstrate this wasn't a special favour. We really had to get the runs on the board. So the Trust Company then came back and said, we're interested in your children's services, but we'd like you to expand that. We'd like for you to look at, with other partners, how we could actually bring in other members of a disability community. So suddenly it went from being just little kids up to the age of 6, and all of a sudden it was all life transition stages in the world of disability. So we worked with our Trust Company partners who were also receiving philanthropic support from the Trust Company, and we developed a new system. We decided we were, with the help of a few people, going to expand our ideas, but it was quite a challenge. And how were we going to get this right? In 2010, we were still talking, Minister, about new media. We don't use that language anymore. But we carried out a survey of families to find out how many families would be interested in participating in online support. 93% of that generational cohort of families supporting children with disability said they were interested. 83% of those families said that they used a computer every single day. So we knew if we could get this right, we were going to be hopefully on a winner. And it made things much more accessible for families. To make this all work, we had to look at how we were going to evaluate it and have ongoing evaluation. So as part of the Trust Company philanthropic program, we developed a theory of change with our strategic partners. We had to map where we were going, what our end game was going to be, and how were we going to get there and how we were going to evaluate it. So the OI project, along with a number of other projects funded by the then Trust Company, was monitored by Melbourne Business School of Social Impact, and that has continued to this day. So we are making sure that we get this right, and we know we're going to make mistakes along the way. Technology is a really challenging thing to manage at any time. We thought there were wonderful opportunities for some great ideas for innovation, and people have really come to the party. People have already talked about it being an online interactive hub. I don't need to go into that part of it. But what we did was, moving on from just facilitated peer support, we are aware that many people in the disability community are isolated. It's not just families, it's not just young children, it's many people in our society. Whilst there's many activities out there, lots of people need more information. And we saw the OI project as a way of helping people navigate that system. The Minister has spoken about online media and advances in technologies, and OI has looked at ways that we can provide familiar and flexible models and opportunities for networking and intervention. What started off as just online therapy support has grown to be much more than that. We used a wonderful consultant who's here today to develop our ideas, and then we went and found a state-of-the-art website developer, and both those people have been instrumental in getting LifeStart and OI to where it is now. We knew that people wanted to share experiences, information and services for online engagement. It was more than therapy, it was how can people just speak amongst themselves. We don't need to tell people what to do. The new world of disability isn't about disability services telling people what they want and what they need. It's all about people having voice, choice and control over what they want for themselves, their family or their people whom they support. We knew that we could build capacity through our OI project. So where do we get to? We looked at our partnerships. We looked at the Trust Company, our OI partners. There's a number of... How many people are our OI partners are in the room today? Can you put your hands up, please? We have a few people starting to put their hands. We've got OI partners all around Australia. Our principal partners also were people living with disabilities, their families and their carers, peak bodies and advocacy groups. Universities, we weren't going to be able to do this without partnerships with the university and the vet sector. We knew we had to get those relationships right. We needed partnerships with government and with the corporate sector. We couldn't have done this project. We wouldn't be sitting in this room today without the support of the corporate sector through the Trust Company now with Perpetual. And that corporate engagement is really, really vital if we're going to have some collective impact in our community to support people living with disabilities. So what are some of the benefits? And sorry, I'm not going to go through every single one of those points around partners, etc. The benefits are, it's peer reviewed. We need to make sure that the information that we have online is correct. Now, we know we're going to make mistakes. We're going to know that some people may take exception to what we have as our content. It's a living, dynamic program. We do want people's feedback. We require people, if they're going to be engaged with this process, to make contributions. If they see things that they think could be better expressed, we are very open to hearing that feedback. This is an ongoing evaluative project. We cannot just let it, it's not a static document, it is always going to be changing. So we really appreciate people participating in it. We've developed a whole range of modules, peer content. We'll have webinars, we have chat rooms, we have a wide variety of resources that are going to be available. Now we're going to have 4 iPads around the room after the formalities are over, and people will be able to actually look at what sort of support that they can receive, whether it's a mainstream service provider, another disability organisation, a government agency. There's space for everybody in our OI land. One of the really, really critical things about OI is the value of partnerships and collaboration in our community. And this has been a wonderful opportunity for mainstream services, for disability services, for the corporate sector, for people living in the community, and most importantly, for people living with disabilities and families and carers to collaborate in partnership as we move forward. Online inclusion or OI provides wonderful, wonderful opportunities in this new world of the internet. It's actually not a new world anymore, is it, Minister? But for many people, receiving support online is a new thing. And we want to get this right, and we really hope that people will participate in it and support us in our journey. We have now over 70 partners around Australia, and we're looking forward to growing that substantially in the near future. Now, we've already had a number of conversations here about technology. So those points up there are really important around what is important and how we can make it work together. We know that technology can enable social impact. We know that there's many opportunities for people to come on board. It raises the profile of people with disabilities. It raises the profiles of the wonderful work that their families and carers, the volunteer sector that's so important in caring for people with disability. We know that in our community in Australia, there's probably 2 million people that in some way are supporting or caring for people with disabilities. That is a significant part of our population. And if OI can support those people in some ways, that would be wonderful. For people to be able to go online in the privacy of their home or their workspace or their community space and link up with other people, that's a way of how our community can be engaged and support people. Because one of the most important things about OI is achieving social inclusion. At the end of the day, whether it's the NDIS, whether it's the programs that disability agencies provide or mainstream services provide, we want social inclusion for everybody. Everybody in Australia has the right to achieve and just live an ordinary life, and we're hoping that OI will contribute to that. So thank you very much for that. There's going to be people around the room that can tell you how to get involved in OI. Just before I conclude, Paul, I'd like to thank Paul Nanari for being a wonderful MC today. Paul is always supporting Lifestart, whether it's Kite for Kids or a formal event. And he's actually achieving quite a profile in his own right. And I think Paul actually relies on social media a bit, don't you?
Particularly when you pronounce it correctly. Oi, everyone. Oi. Not oi.
I'd like to thank the Opera House. The Opera House has donated this wonderful location for our use today. It is a wonderful donation, and it is also live streaming OI around Australia. So thank you very much to the people who have at the Opera House who have supported us so well with this. We thank you very much. To our wonderful choir who's going to perform again, we thank you. We thank our OI ambassadors who are sitting up there. We thank you for your support, and we hope we can bring more ambassadors on as well. And thanks everybody for coming along today. It's a really exciting thing. And again, Minister, that launch button, I'm glad it worked. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Ladies and gentlemen, can you keep your hands of applause going for the choir who now perform with an Australian medley? Thank you.
I come from the dusty red soil plains. I am the ancient heart, the keeper of the flame. I stood upon the rocky shore. I watched the tall ships come. For 40,000 years I've been the first Australian.
I came upon the prison ship, bowed down by chains, cleared the land, endured the lash, and waited for the rains. I'm a settler, I'm an father's wife, a dry and barren run. A convict, then a free man, I became Australian. We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australia. I'm the daughter of a digger who sought the motherlode. The girl became a woman on the long and dusty road. I'm a child of the Depression. I saw the good times come. I'm a bushy, I'm a battler. I am Australian. I'm a teller of stories, a singer of songs. I'm Clancy on his I paint the ghostly gums. I'm Clancy on his horse, Ned Kelly on the run. I'm the one who wants Matilda. I am Australian. We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian.
I'm the hot wind from the desert. I'm the black soil and the plains. I'm the mountains and the valleys. I'm the drought and flooding rain. I'm the rock, I'm the sky. I'm the river when they run. I'm the spirit of this great land. I am Australia.
That was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Thank you to the Nordoff Robbins Music Therapy Group and all members of the choir. I've been told you've all been very excited to be here and you've done this venue proud, so thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, could we have one more round of applause for the choir, please? Well done, guys. Now, I believe Mim's going to show a video, perhaps of Mark Tonga, one of the ambassadors for Life Start. It's a community service announcement.
Visit oi.org.au for all your disability information and tools.
Mark does it way better than me. Can we have a hand applause for Mark? Well done, Mark. Sure.
I should just interrupt. I'm privileged to be the chair of Mark Tonga's foundation. He had a catastrophic injury some 7 or so years ago, and he is a daily inspiration to me. His positive outlook on life is extraordinary. He never, ever complains. He says, Australia is the greatest country on earth. He is out there every day talking to groups, church groups, school groups, and other community groups about it's not where you start, it's where you end up, and it's how you travel the journey. And a truly great colleague. Well done, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, this now closes formal proceedings of the OI launch. There are three, I think Sue actually said there's 3 or 4 iPad stations, which LifeStart staff will pass around the room to show you OI if you wish to see the platform in more detail or ask further questions. Thank you everyone for coming to celebrate this launch with LifeStart. It's a beautiful venue. To Ray, who did the welcome for Country, I know he's left, but he did a beautiful welcome to Country. And he was so right in this being one of the most iconic places, not only in Australia, but the world. Thank you again, once again, to the Trust Company, part of Perpetual, for supporting the project through their seed funding, to the ambassadors who will be helping promote the project, to the partners for collaborating and sharing resources and information, and a thank you again to the Sydney Opera House and their wonderful staff, led by Jenny Spinnick and others, who have been fabulous throughout the whole setup and allowing us to launch an iconic disability platform in one of Sydney's most iconic venues. Thank you very much. Sue, did you want to say any more closing remarks? Now I'm meant to pause, and that actually ends the live stream. We hope you can join us on the journey to making inclusion possible, both online and in every community across Australia. Please share the website, www.oi